Hi there, Maya here. Let me just get my phone set up so I can actually hold it and talk to you. I have been thinking a lot this week about personal responsibility. I've been talking to my clients about it. I've been thinking about it and taking a really nice, cold, hard look at it in my own life. Um, and I wanted to talk to you about it because it seems to be a real key for people being able to call their vision into being and break out of old patterns. And hey, Rebecca Delaney is here. So good to see you. So, if you feel like you've got a vision for your life and you're not able to make it move forward, or if you feel like, forget that, you've got old patterns and bad behaviors and bad habits and all your family stuff just keeps repeating on you, it is very possible that it's because you're not taking 100% personal responsibility. Not less responsibility and not more responsibility. And so I've been thinking about this a lot and like, what's the difference between taking too little responsibility and too much responsibility, and how does that show up? So I want to give you a couple of clues so that you can apply them immediately in your own life. So if you've got a really big vision, whether it's for a creative project, say you're trying to write a book or put up a solo show or make a career change, um, and you don't seem to be taking action, but this vision is crystal clear. It's so close you can almost taste it, right? Like you can really feel it. It feels like it belongs to you, feels right, it feels true to you. It is your vision for your life. But somehow you're stuck. Maybe well, to use a personal example, when I first started sending manuscripts out, or not even manuscripts, I was sending out what are known as query letters in the publishing industry to potential agents. I think I sent out 3 to 5 of them and then I stopped. What I didn't, and I said, this is too hard. I had met an agent at a restaurant I was working at, actually, and it seemed like kismet, right? Like really meant to be. He was like, send me your manuscript. It looked like he had some other books that he was promoting that seemed similar to my manuscript, and he was just like, no. Once I sent him my manuscript, and I felt so let down and disappointed, and like it was too hard, it was too much. So when you have a vision that's really true to you and you step out, a lot of your stuff will come up. What I discovered for myself was that I have this family belief, which is that life is something that just happens to you. And some people are lucky and some people are not lucky, and there's just nothing you can do about it. Now, when you hear me say that, what do you think? I immediately think victim. I didn't know it at the time because I was so in it and it felt so real. That's the thing. We have to be really kind to ourselves, stay curious, keep an open mind, stay open-hearted. When we start to do this kind of what I would call personal inquiry, or just like self-reflection, right? Just trying to figure out why you aren't able to, say, follow through on all your projects or make your vision come into being. It often is that there's some belief that's holding you back. And in my case, the example I just gave you of like sending out 5 letters to literary agents and then stopping was because I had this victim-based belief that you had to be lucky to make something happen in life. Now, that is me not taking 100% personal responsibility. And so one way for you to know that you're not taking 100% personal responsibility is if there's any little tinge of you being the victim, of you feeling victimized. And so that can look like a lot of things. You know, right? You'll know what it is. You'll just feel like it's not fair, it's too hard, other people have it easier. You'll put it outside yourself, whether it's on the current political situation or your money situation or your health situation. There's always going to be something that's a little bit external to you that you can blame and put the responsibility on. Now, when you do that, and I know from having done that for I still do it. Who doesn't? We're human. I'm not saying I have totally risen above this, but I can recognize those patterns and those thoughts more quickly now. And so if you're getting stuck on, say, moving a vision forward, or you just keep getting distracted by old habits, for example, what would that be? talking about or thinking about, like, once this XYZ is over, then I'll have the free time to pursue my dream. Or, I don't know, just take a minute and think about what it is for you. You're welcome to drop it in the comments. Like, what are some of those thoughts that you think that just stop you in your tracks, right? That could potentially be victim oriented, like someplace you're placing the responsibility that is not directly on you. Here's the other trouble though, and I see this a lot with my private coaching clients, is that they're taking on too much responsibility. What does that look like? It looks like you are in a shitty, horrible, dead-end job, right? It's like really bad, and you start saying things, perhaps things that sound really spiritual, or they might even sound really personal responsibility like. You might say something like, well, I want to stay here and make a difference. Now, listen, sometimes that is true, but mainly what I see is that when people are taking on responsibility for something that isn't theirs, say a really super bad work environment, they do this sort of exchange where it's like, well, when I raise my vibration, or when I can diffuse or disarm this situation or this person, or let's say you keep sort of kowtowing to people in your family, or people close to you doing things that you really don't want to do, that steal your energy so that you can't focus on really building your vision. Simply put, this would be like boundary setting, right? Let's say that you're not doing that as someone who has historically not done that. It'll look like, why do people keep asking things of me? I would never ask that of someone, right? But then you go ahead and you do it anyway. And now you don't have the energy or the focus or the attention, or let's say you've been busy, not a personal example, walking other people's dogs, so that at the end of the day, this is a very personal example for me. I've done a lot of dog sitting in the past year or so. And what I realized was I kept thinking, okay, of course I can walk a dog. I love to go for walks, but having that on my calendar, it meant that I was taking responsibility for other people's dogs, because this was numerous dogs, and then not able to focus on getting my shit together, making my projects happen. And so I kept feeling like, well, of course, they go to a job where they can't take their dog. I work from home. I could have a dog here. The truth is, though, it was really disruptive for me. And so I was taking responsibility for other people's dogs in a way that was distracting me and stopping me. I see it with my clients. Let me see if I can come up with another good client example. I mentioned like a bad job. I had a client who was working in special ed in a public school. And she kept saying, how parenting has changed, how the administration had changed. She'd been there about 13 years at that point. And I said to her, everyone there is in agreement that this is how they want to run things. You're the only person who disagrees. Now, you can, if you feel like there's really a soul-aligned battle for you to fight right here, stay in the job and fight it. But it was a battle that was actually distracting her from her work. And she was taking on the responsibility for the administration. She was not an administrator. And what was it doing? It was exhausting her. She was overeating. She was really unhappy. She wasn't able to make any kind of forward movement in some of her bigger visions for her life in terms of hobbies and pastimes and things that she wanted to be doing with her children and with her family, traveling and stuff along those lines, because she was taking on too much personal responsibility. The problems with the job weren't hers. It could be in your marriage where you're taking on too much personal responsibility. And what that does is either you're taking too little responsibility and you're a victim, or you're taking on too much personal responsibility and you don't have enough time to make the changes, and you are burying the message from your inner voice as to what you really need to do to fall madly in love with your life, because that's what this is all about, right? I had a client who was really unhappy in her marriage, and she just kept saying things like, well, okay, I'm going to just try. I guess it's probably me. And she was honestly married to this guy who was totally stuck. He was very negative. He did not want to change his drinking patterns. He did not want to go to therapy. He was completely stonewalling her in anything that she suggested to move their marriage forward into the vision that she had for her marriage. But she kept sort of making excuses for him. Now, it can look really spiritual or like you're a really like bigger person. And so it's a little nuanced and a little bit touchy, right? We can get very sensitive and take this stuff very personally. But if you really want to move your big vision forward for your life, and if you want to let go of all of those old family patterns and bad habits and negative limiting beliefs that you have, so that you can love yourself, love your life, live a life with no regrets, which is actually really honestly possible. That's perhaps a theme for another time, but that's the ultimate goal here, right? To like live a life that makes you happy so that you can serve yourself, serve your soul, serve the world. I mean, right? So you are allowed to be happy. You are allowed to be in love with your life. And if you're not able to make your vision happen, if you're stuck in bad habits or bad thinking, negative thinking, if something just feels wrong and restless, if your health is out, whatever it is, whatever is out of balance, I want you to take a look at, are you taking on too little personal responsibility? And if you are, how you'll know is you're feeling like a victim and you're blaming situations or people outside of yourself. If that is not the case, I want you to take a look at, am I taking on too much responsibility? Am I shouldering the burden for someone else and it's not freeing up my energy, my focus, so that I can build my vision or so that I can overcome some of these bad habits and I'm using up all of my willpower, all of my life force energy somewhere else? And then the second you have that awareness, you're already starting to shift. If you really want to make this happen for yourself, send me a private message. I would love to talk to you and see if I'm a match to help you make this happen so that you can fall madly in love with your life and make your visions come into being, because it's totally possible for you to do that. I think I'm done. I think that's it. So lots of love to you guys. Maya Matzek here. I'm a life strategist and an intuitive advisor. If you feel like you're just ready to give it a go, let's talk. Send me a private message and I would love to talk to you and we can see if I'm a good fit to help you move things forward. All right. Good luck out there.